Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second podcast. And thankfully, this time I actually have a lot of stuff prepared to talk about. For example, I spoke a lot about working out in the last episode. I'm probably going to keep talking about it because I think it's a very interesting subject matter. For example, people make a lot of workout excuses, and a lot of them are bad. And I don't know if I've brought this up before, but people make excuses like, oh, I can't finish working out, I have to go do the dishes. It takes a maximum of 45 minutes to work out, and odds are you're not going to go for the full 45 minutes if your excuse to not work out is doing the dishes. However, sudden, violent, explosive diarrhea is a great excuse for not working out because, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Because that's always a good workout story. Oh, how serious are you about getting in shape? Well, last week I shit myself working out too much. And then you get told, you're probably not the best candidate for our weightlifting team because we don't want you to shit yourself in front of everybody. Yeah. I had a feeling of explosive diarrhea recently when I was working out, and I made the decision to go to the bathroom rather than shit myself. It was close. If I wasn't 10 feet away from the bathroom when it happened, I probably would have shit myself. And it was one of those trips to the bathroom where you go in fine, and you leave covered in sweat. And everyone thought you were playing with yourself in the bathroom. And the fact that you had no shirt on when you went in there made it worse, because you really couldn't defend yourself after that point. I hated it. My butt was covered with sweat. It was on the wrong side of my underwear, so it looked like I was a woman who peed herself. Just a concentration of liquid, sweat, on the back of my underwear, and it looked like I peed out the wrong side of my underwear. And I knew better, because I knew it was just sweat, but it just still felt weird. And this conversation is starting to get weird. I should probably move on to something else. Okay, I heard a hypothetical a while back, and I wanted to talk about it. The hypothetical was, if you could travel back in time and have sex with yourself, would you do it? And if you did, would it be gay or would it be masturbation? And here is my thoughts on the subject. I would say no, because even if I was interested in having sex with my past self, here's how it would go. You would run into someone who looks exactly like you and is telling you this story. Do you want to have sex? I know that I look just like you, you know. It would be very suspicious to me, to the present me. I'd be like, this creep looks just like me, and I think he's just trying to trick me into having gay sex. So it would not work even if you wanted it to happen, unless you go so far back that you rape your childhood self by overpowering them. So that is why I would say no to having sex with my past self, because it would not work even if I wanted it to, unless I was willing to rape myself and scar my past self, and by extension screw up my future self in the process. What are your opinions on having sex with your past self? You should probably leave a comment about that, because I'm sure those would be really interesting to read. Also, I recently discovered that although this has been going on for a long while, I've realized how little this generation can tolerate things, especially new things. And I know I am of no exception, but I look at it like this. As the years pass by, we became less discriminatory towards women, and now we have equal opportunity employment. Then we became less tolerant towards gay people, and then gay pride parades started happening more often. But if you really think about it, we did not become more tolerant. We simply shifted our level of tolerance towards other subjects. Once it became socially awkward to hate gay people, it happened a lot less. But our hatred towards people who talk street, who use words like YOLO and swag, that hatred went through the roof. Because hating on those people, because we were not hating on gay people as much, it all shifted to those people. Other people took the fall for it. Now all the crazy people still make offensive jokes, but the majority shifted to hating other people. So in reality, we are all just a bunch of assholes. but we hate on people until it's not funny anymore, then we just pick on someone different, and then it is funny again. So yeah, think about that. I hate people who say YOLO and swag just as much as you do, but that does not make it right. I'm not saying you should stop hating on those types of people, but just be aware that you are not doing a favor to anyone when you do it. Because, maybe we should give the hatred a break for a little bit. That's what I think we should really do. I think the internet should be filled with creepy, polite people for like a year. For at least a year. It should be they will not all die out completely, but it won't be as fun in the future. But we'll still have that small percentage of people who are so nice that it's creepy. Like, people hold doors open for people in public, but online, if someone needs help finding something, very few people will offer guidance. Instead, they say things like, "Oh, LOL, Google much, brah?" And you piss everybody off doing stuff like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't research your shit, but if people need help, I mean, why not give them a little bit of help, you know? Yeah. I think that would work out really nice. Like, let's say, by creepy nice, I mean, you would read this person's comment, and you would make assumptions like, wow, this person sounds highly sophisticated, and possibly British, because British people have one of those good stereotypes where a British accent can make anything sound smarter. So if you read their comment with a British accent in your head, it will make it sound more convincing to you. Speaking of sounding smarter, I was told that some brief random statistic somewhere says that people with mustaches are more persuasive. I'm not going to pretend I remember where I heard it, but I thought that it makes sense, because I imagine a lot of pedophiles have mustaches, and they have to be pretty persuasive to do the sick shit that they do, and that's how you piss everybody off with a mustache. Say a lot of pedophiles have mustaches. I got off track by a lot, but yes, just if you're listening to this, try to be creepy nice on the internet and see where it gets you. I think it would be hilarious. You know what the world does need less of, though? People who get mad about things they don't know anything about. Like, I already talked to you about hating on things, but I remember back in high school, there were a bunch of people who just sat there and said they hated President Barack Obama. And I'm sure there are still a lot of people that hate him, but you go, like, the people in my school, I would go up and ask them, so which of his policies do you disagree with? And they basically could not name a single thing he had done. They were just like, I don't like him. And it reminds me a lot about how people hate Americans, when a lot of those people have probably never been to America, maybe never even spoke to an American in person before, and yet they still hate us. And that's your business. You can hate whoever you want, but at least be prepared to give a reason on why you hate somebody. Otherwise, you just have this sheep mentality, and you hate what everyone else hates without knowing why. Why do you hate America? Yeah, that's what I thought. Why do you hate today's new pop star? Derp, I just hate him. Yeah, you, sir, are an idiot. And if you're enjoying this podcast and you hate America, just remember, I am American, and without me and America, you could not be enjoying yourself right now. So I feel like I've said this stuff before, and if I've said a lot of this stuff before, then I'm sorry for being repetitive, but I believe it deserves its own little time to talk about itself. And I have only been talking for 9 minutes. That is crazy. I thought I would have been talking for a lot longer than that. This actually looks like an outrageous amount of material that I set back, but I talked through it so quickly that now I don't have all that much to talk about. So now it's going to be right back to where I left off in the previous podcast, where I didn't have anything to talk about for a crazy long amount of time, and just started doing these weird rambles. I should probably have, I don't know, put more focus onto saying the things that I wanted to get across earlier, but I don't really, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I can't describe my argument in a perfect way. You can make assumptions. You can piece it together like a puzzle. You can be like, oh, I kind of get what you're saying. So I don't have to be entirely perfect about my my points that I want to make. When you argue, you should be prepared for anything, but I'm not really arguing with anybody. I'm just stating my opinion, which is an entirely different story. When you're just stating your opinion, you don't really expect to run into somebody that's going to be like, I disagree, and I'm going to fight you on the street because of that. Now, if I were to start spewing homophobic and racist things, then of course people are going to want to fight me, but I'm saying people need to hate less often. They need to stop spreading hatred. This is probably sounding incredibly boring because I am talking about nothing but hate. I'm sure a lot of you don't want to be listening to this to hear more problems of the world. Let me see if I can find something peaceful to talk about. Well, I recently saw this video of this guy who... This car got stuck on these train tracks, and he literally he was on a two-person bike. He got off of his bike and pushed the car off the tracks, and he was able to jump away from the train seconds before it hit him. But he didn't get hit. He almost got hit. He was like really close to being hit. And he got the car out of the way and himself out of the way. And it's one of those things that you see and you're like, well, this gives me faith in humanity again. And it really is. Because you see other things like YouTube comments and you get less and less faith in humanity. Like, does anybody know what Obama's last name is? Seriously. And it's like, yes, Barack Obama's last name is Obama. So yeah, some people are idiots. Some people you can listen to and you're like, wow, I don't have any faith in the world anymore. But you can look up videos about faith in humanity being restored, and it'll be a compilation of heartwarming things that'll make you feel better about the world. One of them being what I just told you, the guy pushing a car off of train tracks. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. They got people who, like at the Olympics, a runner passed out, and one of the competitors got up and stopped running and literally carried that person to the finish line because they didn't think it was worth it just to let someone sit there helpless. They didn't think the competition was worth it at that time, even though it's the Olympics and it's something people can train their whole life for. And there was another instance where there were these elderly people who signed up to do like this sort of, I don't know what the details were, but it was working with nuclear stuff, and they didn't want young people to be exposed to radiation. So there was a bunch of older people who volunteered to get in the way of radiation and do some sort of testing, and it's pretty heartwarming stuff. If you need something to lift your spirits, I recommend you search Faith in Humanity Restored, or something to that effect. I'm pretty sure you can get it with those words. And if you're hearing screaming in the background, it's children. Children jumping all over the place. This is when this apartment is quiet, you can literally hear everything. And if I can hear that screaming in the background of this recording, I'm going to be super pissed. Actually, hang on a second. I need to go find some more stuff to talk about, so I will be right back. Hello, everybody, and I am back, and I noticed something very unfortunate whenever I left. I'm going to make cheeseburgers tonight for myself, and I noticed that I left the meat out, and blood dripped everywhere, even though I put it in a damn bag. So yeah, not too happy about that right now. And right now I'm multitasking. I'm playing a game at the same time as I'm making this, so it's a bit unprofessional and seems a bit like I am not taking this very seriously right now. But 14 and a half minutes in, still got 10 minutes worth of talking that I need to do. I probably won't be able to do that all that well playing a game, but I'm going to go for it anyway. That's a way to get things done. Just repeat the same phrase over and over again. Yeah. That's how my podcasts work. Uh-huh. Let's just say, another 1,000 times, and then this podcast might be over. Well, I should have found something to talk about, but I actually just made this after finishing a video about me burying my own pants, which I may or may not upload soon. I will probably have that out before this podcast. That's almost a given right there. And the fact that I'm burying my own pants kind of spoils it, but I say that I'm burying my pants within the first 10 seconds of the episode, so it's not all that much of a spoiler. So yeah, I thought it would be kind of a weird subject to make a video on, because I never go to funerals. It's kind of a touchy, it's kind of a weird thing for me. It makes me a little uncomfortable to go to funerals, even though I know I should, but I don't even have a real reason for it. I don't know. It might seem selfish, it might seem weird, but I think I've only been to one funeral in my life, and I ended up leaving early. My parents sent me home early because they knew the service was going to last for like 5 hours, and it was a school night for me. This was way back in the day. And I feel old saying things like back in the day, even though I at the age of 20, I can honestly say things like that and be serious. Yeah, back in the day, when people on the internet weren't a bunch of assholes, even though I am now one of those assholes. But yeah, back in the day, when I played RuneScape, probably a decent number of videos ago, there was actually a video, I made 2 RuneScape videos on this channel. One talking about one of their expansions, Evolution of Combat, and the other was a funny video I made about RuneScape. I would make more funny game-type videos, but I don't have regular internet access anymore. That kind of makes it difficult, not to mention the fact that my computer can't handle a lot of games, and I do have some good recording software. I do have pretty good screen recording software. In all reality, I could download games and record me playing them. It wouldn't be the most work in the world, but it'd be the fact that I'd have to play, it would be a weird direction for a comedy channel to start playing games. A lot of popular channels get that way. They make a lot of videos, and then they make separate channels because we don't have enough stuff to do, and like Smosh has 4 different channels, and a lot of people have stuff like that. A lot of people have their main channel, they have vlogging channels, they have stuff for podcasts, like me. But yeah, weird stuff going on in the world of YouTube. I already have so much, now I'm going to add a podcast channel, and a channel where I do nothing but argue, and a channel where I do this and that, and all this strange, weird stuff. And now 18 and a half minutes has gone in. I should probably stop talking about the time. I need to, get more hypothetical questions, do a crazy amount more research before I talk about something like this, because all I end up doing is rambling. I'm sure this is getting boring by now, but I'm still going to talk anyway. Oh yeah, a new installment of Salad Fingers came out a while back, not too long ago. I watched that. I thought it was pretty creepy and disturbing. If you haven't seen Salad Fingers, it's a very disturbing thing about this guy exposed to radiation who looks a lot like a zombie. And he just does a whole bunch of creepy things now that his mind and body have been torn apart by radiation. I think that's the backstory I heard of. I don't know if it's 100% true, but that's what it looks like. That seems to be what it looks like to me. That's the only rational way of explaining it, was some kind of radiation exposure. Because otherwise, he just looks like a monster. And I'll probably include a small clip from it, because there's 2 or 3 really disturbing parts in it that I would love to share with everyone. One of which includes a melody being played with teeth moving up and down in a constant manner. And it just looks really creepy, and then all of a sudden, red eyes pop out. Imagine somebody looks like they're turning a screw in their head, and like the Jack in a Box theme music play, dun 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 dun. No, 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 no. Something like that, but his teeth are moving at the same time, all of them. It just looks really creepy and really awesome. I'm a big fan of creepy horror-themed stuff, even though Salad Fingers is more creepy than scary. It's one of those things you watch for shock value, just so you can say, I've seen this, and now other things don't look anywhere near as shocking. And I may seem like a fucked up person for saying something like that. Oh, I watch it just for the shock value, but a lot of people watch things for shock value, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's human nature to want to see things that are shocking. That's why we have so many action films and like real life stunts being performed, is so we can see weird and dangerous shit without having to go through all the danger yourself. And that's why we have all that stuff. Oh, don't try this at home, even though you're probably going to try it. Reminds me of a bit I heard by Jerry Seinfeld where he wore a Superman costume on Halloween, and on the side of the box it said, "Do not attempt to fly." As if a child was going to get the costume and be like, oh, I'm going to fly, and then have the brains to examine the side of the box first. Like, oh, nope, the box warrants against flying, so I'm not going to fly. Yeah. I really should have gotten more subject matter to talk about. Now people who watch this are going to be like, I don't like this podcast. All he talks about is how he doesn't have stuff to talk about, and he should really study up on his shit. Well, motherfucker, you try talking for 25 minutes straight about interesting shit and see how far you get, because it's a lot harder than it sounds. Even though I just put up a decent amount of time just saying those words. Something hit me recently, too, about the headphones I've been using. How the pieces with the ear... Not pieces with the ear. The pieces that go on your ear go up and down. They're really big headphones. And the way it looks like if the earpieces went up and down that they would break, but they don't. It's a natural part. So I was really surprised to see that I did not break them one day when they slid down. Made me feel like kind of an idiot. That I never knew that before. Not like they're uncomfortable, but I think it would have been nice to know those pieces slid down without breaking, because it doesn't look that way. A lot of stuff looks like it could be used in a specific way, and you're like, well, maybe, and then you either break it or it works, and that's how the world goes. You have something, you either break it, or you make it a lot better without realizing you could have made it a lot better in the past. So are you willing to break something to make it better? Almost break something to make it better? That's the question. That's the philosophy that's going on in the last minute and a half or so of this video, as I ramble into a crazy bit of conversation. I could start speaking. I should start talking in a British accent, maybe, so I don't feel as ridiculous in the last minute. I'll probably sound smarter. I have a mustache now, technically, so I should be more persuasive, but you can't really tell I have a mustache in my voice. There's no image of me in this podcast, so that's kind of ridiculous. It kind of doesn't make any sense. Yes, I'm more persuasive. My voice sounds more persuasive with a mustache. My mustache provides a natural filter. A natural filter of such, where if I shaved it off, my voice would change, and I'd be less persuasive. I'd go from talking like this to talking like, hey, you know what? You should buy that car, because it's the best car on the lot, and I'm definitely not being paid to say this. and then all of a sudden, yeah, I really don't trust you very much. You should have grew a mustache before you spoke to me. Those are good words of advice. If you want to be more persuasive, grow a mustache. I don't know if a beard and mustache counts. It probably does. But yeah, grow a mustache to be more persuasive. That's all the time I have. And I hope you all have a hilarious day. Bye-bye.